They're right on that fringe because we haven't seen all three of those guys together.
I don't think that they're sort of this lock that people might like to believe them to be just because of the talent they have. But the last team we're going to talk about, they're currently the 8th seed, and they are sitting at 500. They traded James Harden for Ben Simmons. Kevin Durant has been in and out with injuries. Kyrie Irving for a long time didn't play in any games. Then he played in only home games. And now the mandates are potentially lifting and he can play in all games, or sorry, only in away games. But now he might be able to play in all games. The Brooklyn Nets, Aaron, how do you feel about them? Do you think they are contenders or pretenders?
I have to say contenders. I mean, it's hard not to with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. And even if Ben Simmons doesn't make the leap that everyone wants him to, still a really good defender, a really good piece too. He can pretty much guard all 5 positions. And they have a few good role players. Bruce Brown, solid. Patty Mills, good shooter. We've seen Seth Curry do really well there. So I have to put them in the contenders, but they're right on that fringe because who knows if we haven't seen all three of those guys together. And you mentioned Kyrie. Yes, he's a great offensive player, but been exposed on defense at times. And so I'm going to say they're contenders, but keeping a close eye on them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my heart wants to say they're pretenders because I don't like the Nets, but with Kevin Durant, I think it's just almost impossible to say that. He's just so good. We saw that without Kyrie and an injured Harden, he was almost able to beat the reigning or the future champs, the Milwaukee Bucks, in that series. And he was just doing everything. He was playing amazing defense. He was getting his teammates involved. He was getting rebounds, and obviously putting up major points. So for the Nets, I think they're contenders, but I agree with you. I don't think that they're sort of this lock that people might like to believe them to be just because of the talent they have. And I think they absolutely have weaknesses because I think out of every team we've probably talked about in the East so far, maybe outside of the Bulls, there's some pretty clear ways to expose them on both offense and defense. Ben Simmons and his lack of shooting, we don't know how he's going to fit into the team yet. Andre Drummond, we know what Andre Drummond is. Does he get extended playoff minutes? If he does, he's not very good in the playoffs.
Yeah, you can't have him and Simmons on the floor, so that limits
exactly
what they can do, even lineup-wise.
Yeah, and then defensively, I mean, you talked about Kyrie. He's not that great. Andre Drummond's not an amazing paint protector. You do have Ben Simmons, and Durant's pretty decent, and Bruce Brown, but even like Seth Curry's not an amazing defender. So I think that they're definitely a contender because of the talent they have, but I think they're the team that I can most easily see get upset, if you want to call it that, because they're the 8th seed. But I think they'll have one of the highest expectations and probably have one of the highest title odds, but I think they could pretty easily get upset by plenty of these teams in the Eastern Conference.